Tour junkies.
What is going on, golf addicts? It is the 2025 Masters DraftKings DFS podcast preview. We're so excited. It's Masters Week, baby. DB here, my boy Pat Perry with me for the 10th year running since 2015. We're covering the Masters DFS style, baby. We're going to get into it. We're going to talk about every price range. We're going to talk about where we think the most popular players, the chalk, are going to be, who we like as pivot plays that might be a little lower owned. We've done a whole show on some kind of do's and don'ts around DFS game theory, roster construction, certain contests that you should be looking to get into. We're going to look a little bit at the models today. We're going to talk about some golf course stuff with Augusta National. We're going to have a good time. Pat, I know you're pumped. You wore your Masters green. I don't know why I wore the shirt. I just grabbed the black shirt out of the. I don't know why I did that. I'm channeling Gary Player today.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know, DB, but I will say this, as we like to say in Augusta. Happy Masters, DB. I am very excited for this week. It's my favorite week of the year, and I can't wait to get started. I think it's going to be a great one. I think we're going to have some decent weather, but a little bit chilly, maybe a tiny bit of wind. So we'll see what happens, but I'm very excited for the week.
Listen, everybody, if unless you're brand new here, you know that me and Pat were born and raised in Augusta, Georgia. I still live in Augusta. It's starting to cool down. Today's a little bit cooler. Tomorrow is supposed to be very wet. We're recording this on Sunday, by the way. Sunday afternoon, the Valero is still going on. Live Miami at Doral is still going on right now. You're going to have a dozen Live players in this field. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But as of now, Monday is supposed to be, it looks like it might just be a wash, my man. Yeah. It's like I want to say it's like a 2-inch rain that we're supposed to get tomorrow, but I think that's the only, let me double check. I think that's the only rain for the week, which will be great. So now it's 1.6 inches of rain tomorrow, starting at like 4 a.m., going all day long, which really sucks for those people that had Monday Masters tickets. Because
it does.
I've already gotten some texts. Us locals, we get texts when tickets pop up. I've had multiple texts. Hey man, you want to go on Monday? I got a free ticket. I'm like, no, I don't want to. No, I don't want to. I'm not a Dolphin. I don't think I.
And you know what's going to happen, DV, is that it's just going to go ahead and get that stinky, kind of, muddy smell out there. And look, the Augusta National, we know, does everything great. The course is going to look fantastic. But the crosswalks do get kind of stinky after it rains. Yeah. It's a little like muddy and people are sliding all over the place. So, I mean, if that's the worst thing that can happen out there, that's it. So.
Little known Augusta secret that if we get a lot of rain Masters Week, for some reason it is those crosswalks.
Yeah,
it's like everybody's feet or whatever they put on that crosswalk, the little pebbles.
Yeah,
no, it just brings up all the stench. That's where all the bad rounds at Augusta National seep into the ground, is in the crosswalks. They channel them there through the sub-air system. Something to note: they do have the sub-air system under not just the greens like a lot of golf courses across the country, but also under the fairways at Augusta National, so they can suck the moisture out. Listen. By Thursday morning, with just the rain on Monday, even though it's going to be a good bit, the course will be prepared for it. And I think by Thursday, they'll have this place exactly like they want to have it, just as firm as they want to have it, not too firm, not too soft. That's my opinion. That could change. We'll hear from players. We have obviously boots on the ground come Thursday morning. And, whenever we get a major and you get 25 press conferences, you typically get all the information you could ever ask for. So pay attention to those. We didn't really talk about that on our do's and don'ts show, but pay attention to that. But the rest of the week, I'm looking at the week, and like Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Thursday might be a little warmer, but highs in the upper 60s, kind of low 70s. The mornings are going to be chilly, 48, 50 degrees, maybe a slight breeze. That's going to be interesting, Pat. Going to be interesting at Augusta National. But it doesn't look like one of those 2007 Zach Johnson years.
No, I don't think it's going to be one of those years. And I think you're right. I think they're going to get the course exactly how they want it. I do think it's going to play a little more difficult this year, just based off what the weather's looking like, that cooler weather. But because it's going to play longer too. I think it's they've lengthened it a little bit this year. Not a ton of changes, but what was the big news, DB, for you back in the fall? Right, huge hurricane came through and leveled a lot of stuff. And Augusta National was not spared. But as the Augusta National tends to do, they got it looking as just kind of pretty much like it always looks. But they did have to do a lot of work around several greens and several holes. So I think, You won't see when you're watching it on TV, it won't look that different at all. But there are a few changes that they had to do just because of the hurricane.
I think I saw as number 115 and 16 maybe were had to be completely redone thanks to the hurricane. Yeah, I mean, 115 and 16. Thanks to our friends at Bet the Number that found that out for us. My golf course right down the street lost 2,000 trees. So I don't know what Augusta lost, but I know that they can replenish them and also replenish whole trees. I've actually seen that done with my very own eyes. So it'll be interesting to see what it looks like, but they will have done everything they can to get it playing as much like it used to be as possible. And like I said, by Tuesday, we'll know all we want to know about what the golf course looks like in terms of shape after Helene. A couple quick housekeeping items before we get into the model and some other course thoughts. The Masters Flashback and Lessons Learned podcast is live, and you can get a link to that in the description, or if you're watching us on YouTube, obviously it's right there. And if you're listening to us on any Apple podcast or Spotify feed, it's there as well. We recorded that on Friday, published that on I can't remember what day we published it on, but you can check it out. It's a really good show. Highly encourage you to check it out. We went through our friends who partnered with DraftKings. Our friends at DraftKings gave us some 2024 deep dive data. We looked at 2023, and we just kind of thought, what are some things that people getting into the DFS world, or even those who have played before, need to be reminded of or need to know. We talked about some do's and don'ts. We talked about some trends that we saw in terms of roster construction, ownership percentages, all kind of stuff. So check that show out. It's only about a 35-minute show. It's really good, and it's a great kind of pre-gamer if you haven't listened to it already, because we're going to get into picks and thoughts today on players, but everything else, kind of the game theory stuff, is really loaded up in that show. So check that out if you have not. It's a really, really good one.
Did you see how smart I looked in that graphic?
You looked very smart.
I looked very smart in that graphic. Look at that. Man.
I look like kind of a quirky, eccentric, kind of interesting.
What's that detective? That's what you look like. You look like, back to wore had a pipe, and a hat.
Sherlock Holmes.
Sherlock Holmes. You look like Sherlock Holmes, I think.
Let's see that one.
Yeah. Anyway.
That makes you Watson.
I guess so. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
All right, let's get into this. Let's take a look at the model. We're gonna show you the model that I'm gonna show you the model I've built. Why? Because I like it. So you can just take that. This is on betthenumbergolf.com. It's where we build our models, and this is a public model. So if you click here, you can look at the Bet the Number Masters 2025 model, or you can just click on DV's Masters 2025 model. That's what I've done. Mine usually get a little more nerdy than the BTN model, but I definitely take my cues once BTN drops their sites model. I kind of take my cues from there and then tweak it a little bit. So you can obviously see off the tee. The two things that really stand out on the BTN model are apex height and this approach bucket between 175, 240 being key at Augusta National. We know apex height matters, and it mainly matters with iron play as you approach these greens. You need to have kind of a higher ball flight. And apex height typically does measure it off the tee, but you would assume that if you hit it high off the tee, you probably know how to hit it high with irons. I add in ball speed here because I like the distance advantage that it gives you at Augusta National. So obviously an overall approach number. And then this is that key range where we can say, last 50 rounds between 175 yards and 240 yards, who leads the way in this in this number. So that's a key one. And we'll get into it, but I mean, look at the first few names on the board here at how badly they're doing in that category. I find that interesting. I took this one straight from Bet the Numbers model, the comp around the green and putting numbers. Around the green is going to be, tightly mown lies, fairway lies, not your thick rough, because you don't have a lot of that when it comes to Augusta National. So there's that little tee to green at Augusta over the last 3 or 4 years since I didn't count the 2020 COVID fall one. And then last 50 kind of bogeys or worse number. Who's not making big numbers? That's where I stole that one from. Then you've obviously got the recent form and course history here. Now, if you're watching this now, as I said, we're recording this on Sunday. It's being published on Monday. So, you're going to, I don't know who is this? Maverick McNeely finished 11th at Valero or not. That's going to update. So something to take note. Pat, anything that caught your eye on the model, or anything you would add or subtract when you build yours?
Well, I mean, I think and I tend to rely a lot on the BTN model. I know you like yours, but I'm a fan of the BTM model also. Yeah, I think having the strokes gained Augusta National on there, which you've kind of renamed it, I guess, and Tee to Green. Is that kind of the same basically?
Let's see. I'm going into the model inputs now. Yeah, Tee to Green. I just did strokes gained Tee to Green at Augusta, and I picked the last 12 rounds if you had them, but since 2021.
Yeah. So I like that. I mean, one of the things that's in there is because we know that for Augusta National and the Masters, course history does matter a ton. We see that this is probably the event all year where it does seem to show up the most. And so, we want to put that in there. We want to be able to see that. We want to look at their history. We want to look at, how they've tended to perform, but also how they've, hit the ball while they've been in Augusta. So I do like that. Definitely, you're going to have putting in your model too, for sure, just because of the fact that it's such a big, it's, these bent grass greens. You really got to have a great week there. You got to be comfortable on these greens and fast greens as well. So
it's only the putting thing is only 5%. So it's pretty low. I mean, it's not as predictive as people think, but it is something we want to look at. So,
yeah.
Yep. I want to look at the golf course real quick on Bet the Number. So let me skip over there. We know Augusta National. We're not going to spend a ton of time on it. Alistair McKenzie and Bobby Jones worked together on this one. Par 72, a little over 7,500 yards now that they've done some lengthening over the past few years. You got pretty massive bent grass greens that are super fast, as we know. The chipping grass is short. It's overseeded. You got to be able to clip it off that stuff. Green regulation numbers are lower than tour average. Birdie numbers lower than tour average. Bogey numbers higher than tour average, as you can see on the screen here. And then if you look at kind of your, let's just look at our past few winners here. Scotty, Rahm, and Scotty did everything well. Bomber's Paradise, it tends to be, you can see the advantage here that you gain if you're 20 yards longer than average, and what you lose if you're 10 to 25 yards shorter than average. So yes, there's things to look at here on the Bet the Number course page. All right, golf addicts, we partner with our friends at DraftKings, and the battle for the jacket is heating up in Augusta. And there's no better place to sweat the action than DraftKings Daily Fantasy, the ultimate destination for fantasy golf fans. And for the year's first major, DraftKings is giving all customers a shot to play free for a $1 million top prize with your next $10 deposit. It's simple to play. Build your dream lineup while staying under the salary cap, then sit back and watch as your players rack up points. Every birdie, every bogey, every clutch putt, feel the intensity of every shot. Should you roster Rory? You banking on Scotty doing it again? Are there some live guys you like? I don't know. Maybe they need to be in your lineups. We shall see. Download the DraftKings app and use code JUNKIES to play free for a shot at the $1 million top prize with just a $10 deposit. That's code JUNKIES for all DraftKings customers. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY at 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. 18 plus in most eligible states, but age varies by jurisdiction. Eligibility restrictions apply. Void where prohibited. Minimum $10 deposit required. One single-use $10 ticket rewarded for Fantasy Golf Millionaire contest that expires on April 10th at 7 a.m. See terms at DraftKings.com/promotions.draftkings.com. See terms at DraftKings.com/promotions. You ready to get into the field?
Yeah, absolutely.
Anything we missed before we dive in? I feel like between this little intro and the and the flashback show, I feel like we've covered a lot.
One note that I'll say before we get into the field, because I'm sure we'll talk a lot about these guys, but it seems like a high number. There are 21 Masters debutantes, DB, this year. 21.
Oh, I didn't know that. Wow.
New participants. Now, a few of those, I guess 3 of them are amateurs, but that feels like a lot.
5 amateurs.
Or 5 amateurs.
Total amateurs. I don't know if they played before, but
yeah. So that's just a lot. Maybe we see that long streak of first timer not winning coming to an end this year.
Huh?
Yeah, you never know. I mean, Ludwig almost did it last year.
Yeah. We talked about it a little bit on the flashback show. Obviously, a much smaller field. I believe only 96 players as of now. Could be 97 if the winner of the Valero is someone not already in the field. And I counted 5 amateurs, 7 what I call olds. So your Angel Cabreras, your Fred Couples, your Bernard Longers. And then I counted an additional 15, not including the 5 AMs and the 7 olds, that have absolutely zero chance. Okay. If you have a 1% chance, I did not count you in that. Okay. So that's 27 guys out of the 96 that I think are not going to win for sure and are probably not making the cut. Remember, the cut rules here are top 50 and ties get to play the weekend. So a large portion of the field is going to play the weekend, especially when you take out those 27 names I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm.
So when you're thinking about, narrowing down your DraftKings player pool, you can begin to narrow it down quite quickly just from there. But obviously, there's still tons of decisions to be made, and that's what we're here for. We're here to get into that. So let's start at the top of the board, and let's just look at the 10K and above range with Scotty leading the way at a massive 12.4 price tag, $1,300 more than Rory McIlroy. And then you have Ludwig Morikawa and Jon Rahm rounding out the top 5 priced players on the board. And I think everybody that's come up to me since Masters has kind of been fresh on the brain over the last couple of weeks has been like, DB, you like Rory or Scotty? Rory or Scotty? Rory or Scotty? Rory or Scotty? And I think that's the same question everybody's going to have to ask themselves this year in DFS, because it doesn't feel like, obviously it's, I don't know if it's possible, but it's not fun to do them in both lineup, both of them in the same lineup, but even having both of them in your player pool seems tough. But if you had to make a decision between one or the other in DraftKings, assuming both are going to be popular, so this would be a level of chalk you were going to eat. We talked a lot about chalk and popular players on that flashback show and when to eat the chalk, play them, and when not to. And the bottom line is you do play chalk at Augusta.
Yeah.
That's just the end. So what do you think, Pat? Who's it going to be this year for you? You had to pick one.
I knew I was going to ask this. And look, I'm going to Rory. I'm doing it. I feel better about Rory. I do. Now, obviously, Scotty is, he played well a couple weeks ago. He's won this tournament twice. Rory seems to always have kind of just these little bugs in his head, these demons in his head when he gets to Augusta National. But I really love how he's been playing, and I'm talking myself into it again, DB, that I think this is the year. This is the year. And I'm going to have Rory. And now, look, we talked about this on the show that we did, the DFS show, as far as the do's and don'ts and that look back, that you didn't necessarily have to have like Scotty in your lineup to have a very good lineup and win monies last year when he won. But I do feel better about putting Rory in my lineups and then having a little bit more room to play around after that. Despite the fact that I will say there are a lot of folks, or not a lot, but there's several folks in the 6K range that I do think are good plays that allow you to fit Scotty in there. But I feel more comfortable with Rory, so I'm planting my flag, DB, planting my flag on Rory this week.
Well, I think for the first time in recent Masters memory, I am not entering this week as a somewhat lonely Rory hater.
Yeah.
But I am all aboard the Rory love train. I'm in, and this is the first time I've been in for a while. I think this is as good a chance as Rory has had in a long time. We talked about this a couple weeks ago, to win the Masters and get the bugaboo off his shoulder. He's playing well. He's playing well at the right time, winning the Players. Played well last week at Houston. It seems like he doesn't have the live distraction that he's had in years past. He doesn't have some of the controversy in the personal life surrounding him like he has. Scotty's not looking unbeatable as he has in years past. Xander's a little banged up. Ludwig's kind of been hit or miss. It just feels like it's Rory's time to actually kick down the door. And I know a lot of people have said that over the years, but as someone who's, I feel like been extremely hard on Rory, I see it this year. So I'm in. And it really doesn't have anything to do with the price on DraftKings. Obviously you get the nice savings with Rory and it's a lot easier to make lineups, but I'm just in because I believe it. Our friends at Bet the Number turned us onto this, and Scotty's long iron play has not been great. Now, if you look at Rory's long iron play in that same sample size that I've pulled up, it's not great either, but it just doesn't look like Scotty's been as dominant with those long irons and mid irons as he has coming into Augusta in years past. And I think that's going to matter a little bit. Now, he's still Scotty. He could just totally do this on all to us again. And that wouldn't surprise anyone, but it does feel like this is Rory's to take. So if you're starting to line up with one of those, I'm going to go Rory. Now, certainly you can build lineups without him. And if you do, Ludwig, Morikawa, and Rahm right there for the taking. I think a couple things. I want to talk about those guys. I think I'm out on Ludwig. I don't, you got to make decisions here in DFS. We can't play them all. We're going to say that over and over again. You can't play them all. You got to plant your flag somewhere. There's scary fades, just like there are scary plays. It's scary to say I'm going to pass on this guy because I know he could beat me. It's also scary to say I'm going to play this guy because he could screw me. Ludwig is a guy that is a scary fade, but I got to make decisions here. I don't want to play them all, but I just don't like the inconsistency right now. I know he came out the gate hot last year, first time at Augusta. He did gain 8 strokes putting that week, which is quite unbelievable. Even for Ludwig, is pretty unreal. Having Joe Skovron on the bag certainly doesn't hurt that, but his ball striking's been hit or miss. His short game's not been great. His putting's been back and forth. I think this is a week to ignore Ludwig. And then that leads me to Colin and Rahm, and I'll let you chime in on these 3.
Well, yeah, I agree with you on Ludwig. I mean, when you look at just how he's been playing, literally, I don't know, 3 out of his last 5 events, he's lost strokes on approach, and not just lost. I mean, he's lost a decent amount. I mean, he had a great week when he won at the Genesis, but that was more of an outlier of what he's been doing. So I kind of just feel like, I'm in agreement with you as far as fading Ludwig. Now, I think a lot of folks are going to think that way. So there could be a little bit of a chance to pivot to him, but I would rather pivot somewhere else anyway than up here to him. Now, when you look at, right below them, Morikawa and then Jon Rahm, I think Rahm is going to be a great pivot play because
I do too.
It's these live guys, and we'll talk about this too with several of the live guys that are in the field this week. People are going to kind of forget them a little bit, and they may, because they're just not, our eyeballs aren't on them every single week. But I think Rahm could be a fantastic pivot play. I do like that a lot. I think Morikawa is going to be very chalky. He's been playing excellent. He's had a top 10 here the last 3 years. So I think he's going to be chalky, but I'll probably eat the chalk for sure on Morikawa because I do feel really good about him. And I know you just said you got to plant your flag. But I could see me kind of flip-flopping between I'll start my lineups with Morikawa and eat the chalk there, or I'll start it with Rory and eat the chalk there. I don't know if I'll have them both in the lineup, but maybe I will. Maybe I'll throw both in.
I was going to say, I think people will I think there will be some Rory Morikawa combos. It's really tough. It's also tough to play Scotty and Morikawa, but Rory and Morikawa you can stack. Mm-hmm. And you're still in this low 7Ks. And like you said, there's some 6K values we'll get to earlier or later. So I think that can happen. And then I think a lot of lineups that skip Rory and Scotty altogether are going to start with Morikawa. So I do think he's going to be popular. And I think he's going to have a good week. I think he's going to have a solid week. We'll talk about him a little bit more in detail maybe on the betting show. But I agree, man. I think Rahm is the play. I think Rahm is the pivot. I think in terms of the live guys near the top, I don't know. I could be wrong, but it feels like people want to play Bryson a lot more. He's more popular than he's ever been. He's the YouTube star, blah, blah, blah. It kind of looked like he figured out Augusta last year with his T6 finish. And then Brooks, nobody will want to play Brooks in the beginning of the week. And then by Wednesday night, everybody's going to want to play Brooks because he's cheaper. He's major champion Brooks. And they'll just surge that direction. And I think with Morikawa's chalk and Rory and Scotty up here, I think Rahm could be a little overlooked. Maybe I'm wrong. At the moment, he's also leading or tied for the lead at Live Miami, which is at Doral, which, say what you want about a lot of the courses they play on Live, but Doral is a beast. The Blue Monster is a beast. Used to host WGC events on tour. It's a big boy golf course. Lots of similarities to Augusta National. Long, you hit a lot of mid and long irons. It's overseeded. It's fast. I think Trump Doral is a great place for those guys to warm up, and Rahm is currently tied for the lead and may take it down. And I think still has not finished outside the top 10 in a live event, which, again, you can say what you want, but yeah, he's still doing it quite well. So disappointed last year as he was defending at Augusta, but I think Rahm is a really exciting play up top. We could be wrong. Maybe maybe everybody's going to be jumping on it, but I agree. I like Rahm too.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's talk the 9K range. So it goes from Bryson down to Jordan Spieth. Jury's out on Bryson. Let's actually see where he's. So right now he's one off the lead. I mean, he could very well Doral is a very tight tournament right now. There's 6 guys within 2 shots of the lead or at the lead. So like Sergio, and all of them are coming to Augusta except for a couple. Sergio, Bryson, Phil is 1 shot off the lead right now. We'll talk about that later. And John Rahm is tied. So guys that are coming to Augusta are making a move here at Live Miami, and Bryson being one of them, and could turn around and win this thing. So you've got him. And then Xander and JT, I think, are going to get a lot of talk. What do you think about this range? Who do you think? Where's the chalk that you think you want to eat? Are there any fades? And then we'll talk about some pivots.
Well, I think that you're going to see some chalk. Speaking of live guys, with Neiman in here, he just seems to be kind of a little bit of the live players coming in. He's one of the darlings. I think he's obviously played very well.
Won twice this year on live already.
Yeah, so I think there is going to be some chalk there on Neiman, and I don't think I'll eat that. I think I'll probably fade that chalk. I mean, he's played well enough here. It's not been great. T16's his best finish over the last 4 years. He's made a lot of cuts, but nothing really fantastic. I think, I'll say this. If we get Xander with a little bit of leverage there, just because of the fact that, he had the injury this year, came off of that injury, wasn't great. The T40 at the Arnold Palmer, he had a 70. He was almost, I guess, pretty much dead last at the Players, but then came back and had a good week at the Valspar with the T12. I like Xander as if he is a little bit of a pivot play. I think Xander's going to be in that spot there where there's going to be a lot of folks looking at Bryson, especially if he goes on to win this week. I think JT is going to get a lot of love, but if I could pivot between those two, I would go to Xander right there. I think absolutely. And I do think, down at the bottom, I will have a little Jordan. I think Jordan keeps showing these signs, DB, and he's coming to a place that he loves at 9,000. I think, lower owned Jordan Spieth is going to be quite tasty to me.
Yeah, I'm totally with you on Xander. Very interested to see how everybody begins to evaluate Xander, given that we haven't seen a lot of him this year. Only played 4 times, had the injury. Best finish was last time out at the Valspar T12, gained 11 strokes on approach. Unreal good. Has obviously played Augusta very, very well. I would be very interested to jump on that. Now, then you have JT. And JT feels historically more volatile at Augusta than Xander, and I think he has been, but obviously he's been playing more consistently this year and isn't coming off of an injury. Looks like he's turned a corner. If they're around the same ownership, I think I'll play JT. If I get a discount in ownership on Xander, I'm in. And I think I'm probably out on Bryson unless he's sub 10%, which I don't think he will be. Last year he was around 12.2 on average, and I could see him being higher than that now. I mean, that was coming off 2 missed cuts at Augusta, having never really shown that he could figure it out. Then he finished T6. So, but we'll see. So that's kind of how I'm approaching that. Currently, I am in the camp that I somewhat alluded to and made fun of earlier. Currently, I'm in the fade Brooks camp, but could definitely see myself not in the fade Brooks camp come Wednesday night. It just kind of depends. Currently, let's see where Brooks is at Doral. I don't think it's going great. T22 right now at Doral. He's 10 shots off the lead. He's had an okay year, not great. He had a T7, the second event of the year in Adelaide, and then a runner-up last week or last event at Singapore. Other than that, a couple of 33rd, 35th place finishes. So only one podium finish for him so far this year, not going to have one at Doral. So that's Brooks. And then I think I'm out on Neiman with you, Pat, assuming he's somewhat popular. And I love Joaquin Neiman.
Yeah.
But I think I'm probably out. Low ball hitter, I don't think really benefits him in perfect Augusta conditions. So I think I'm probably bouncing on that.
What do you think? What do you think of Victor? I really got to talk about Victor a little bit.
I'm out.
You are?
Out. Yeah, because
even with the win, do you think he's still just
yeah. I'm glad to see Victor playing better. Everybody loves Victor. Glad to see him play better. And he has been more consistent with the irons, which is where he's deadly. I mean, Victor's, but at the end of the day, though, like even the longest hitters and the best iron players still hit a bunch of 40, 30, 50-yard wedge shots at Augusta.
Yeah.
And that still worries me for Victor. And the around the green play is still not good for him. And the putting is still not good for him, despite the 1 week at the Valspar he gained 7.3. I don't care. Like that is not consistent enough for me. One top 10 at Augusta 2 years ago. I think it has to be. I have to be out now. I think a lot of people are going to say the same thing, and he's going to be. I think we probably need to prepare for him to be one of the lowest owned players in this 9K and above range, because people are going to want to play Fleetwood. He was one of the more popular players last year. I think he was around 18, 19% last year, playing very consistently right now. Best finish at Augusta last year with a T3. I think Victor is going to be the lowest owned guy in this range, and it might be a hold your nose and fade it for me.
Yeah, I think I will be. Yeah, I love one of the things I love at Masters Week at the beginning is just all the great interviews, because we get a lot more guys in the interview room leading up, and Victor is on the schedule at 11:30 on Tuesday, and I am going to be very interested to see what he has to say, because he's just like Rory in a way when he does press conference. He's very upfront about where he is, and so he'll be one of those that I'll really want to listen to.
Yeah, 100%. I'm out on Tommy probably. I'm not going to play a chalky Tommy Fleetwood because I think I might be in with you on Jordan at 9.
Wow.
But God. But it's just
don't you want that wild ride, DB?
I do, but
you want it so bad. You want to take that ride, just hop on Jordan and go on that roller coaster with him.
I do, and it's just and everybody's going to talk. He's going to be mentioned on every show. He's never a name anybody's going to skip, especially around Augusta. There's going to be takes on him one way or the other. And none of the takes can be, oh, Jordan's a lock, it's going to be great, because he's not been a lock at Augusta or lately in the last 5 years. He's not been a lock at Augusta. I mean, and look at his last 5 years at Augusta. It's been a wild ride. Miscut last year, T4 the year before, miscut that year, the next year, T3 the year before that, T46 and 20. Like, it's been a wild ride at Augusta.
Yeah.
So, and it's been a wild ride lately, T4 and a T9 in his last 5 starts, but also a miscut, a 59th and a 28th. So, and he's not doing like one thing well and waiting on other things to fall into place. He's 1 week he gains strokes off the tee and he doesn't. Then the next week he gains strokes on approach, and then the next week he doesn't. Then he's all over the place. But now a chalky Jordan Spieth, no sir, not doing it.
No,
and that's what's going to be so hard to decipher. Is like all these sites are going to project it, and but also like every show and every email and every article is going to say, low on Jordan, a 10%, a 11, maybe even a 12%. Because don't forget, your ownership percentages that we're used to seeing in a 150-man field, the baseline raises because there's only 96 players in the field, and like I said, only about 60 of those guys are going to be worth a dang. So your ownership percent, 12% this week is equal to like 7%. I'm just making up a number because I'm not good at math, but like 7% on a regular week. So all these sites and everybody's going to be going, if he's 12% or less, or if then he's going to be sneaky, and I'm going to sneak up on him and click his name, dog. I think just between me and you should click it too. And then you wake up on Thursday and he's 24%. And you're like, when he's tripling he's tripling the par 5. He's going to birdie number 1, and he's going to triple the par 5 second, and not even have an out of bounds ball. So I don't know, but right now I want to play him.
Good. I'm proud of you for that.
Yeah. Maybe my Jordan take is as manic as he is, because I don't know. It could change. It could change before the show's over, honestly.
What was your tweet? That was so good. The tweet about Jordan where you said they should name a psychiatric.
Oh yeah, personality disorder.
Disorder. Yeah, which is true.
Dude, you got chronic Spiethitis. You're Spieth. Yeah, something like that. Not Spiethitis, because not a lot of mental. Okay, anyway, let's move on.
Okay.
One of the things, too, that people need to realize is a lot of this stuff is going to take shape as we move throughout the week. That's why really also following us on X, things like that are important. Being in our Discord. The Discord's going to be hopping this week. We'll have the live chat as we do every Wednesday night. Plenty of content additionally dropped in the Discord. A lot of smart DFS players, not including us, that are big members of our community chatting it up in the Discord all throughout the week. So check that out. The link is in the description here. You can join it for as little as how much, Pat? What's the lowest?
$10.
I thought it was a $5 something.
Oh, there is a $5. You're right. There is a $5. Sorry. Yeah.
This is your job to know this.
Well, the $5 just kind of, it just creeps open the door a little bit. But if you really need to do the $10 if you really want all the goods, DB, that'll give you all the goods, $10. Now, $5 does get you in the door a little bit, though.
If you want us to open the road for you,
yeah,
$10. That's all we are. We're really cheap.
Yeah.
All right, let's get in the AK range.
I love this range. I have like 3 guys already that I'm absolutely in love with in here, DB.
Okay, I think this is an interesting pivot spot too. I think there are 2 names in here that will be chalky.
I would agree. I have 2 in my mind also.
Say your highest priced one on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Shane Lowry.
8,800 Shane Lowry.
Okay. I didn't say his price. Just
you said highest.
Say
price.
the next guy on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3.
Minwoo Lee.
Zalatoris. Oh.
Okay. All right. Okay. You don't think Minwoo Lee's going to be chalky after a win? And he's got really good finishes here. He did miss the cut in 2023, but his first year ever T14 and then a T22 last year.
Yeah.
I think Minwoo's going to be chalky, which I don't like because I would rather play a non-chalky Minwoo Lee, but I could see myself fading because I think there's some pretty good options. I do agree on Willie Z, but I think there's some really good pivot options in this range.
You might be right. I mean, I just like the thing about Minwoo is he's never going to check or at least as of now, he doesn't check enough boxes to like rank highly in these optimizers and all these, you know what I mean? Like these nerdy people that don't watch golf. They just run it through a calculator and spits out numbers. But I mean, obviously he's going to putt really well. He's long off the tee, which is going to help him. Scrambling's been good lately. He's been terrible on approach at Augusta. Terrible. But he's been solid on approach at least his last 2 weeks, including the Players in the Houston Open. Yeah. So he's just never going to check a lot of boxes, but you're probably right. I mean, there's a level of popularity to him that might get him up there. Lowry just feels consistent, feels like a cut maker. And then Willie Z, I mean, people are starting to see the form turn. At least the ball striking ways of Willie Z are starting to come back. They're not fully back, but they're starting to get there. And of course, his record at Augusta is tremendous. The years that he's played, he withdrew in 2023 prior to, but the years he's played, he's not finished outside the top 10.
Yeah. He's very good on this golf course. And I do think he is going to be chalky, but I might eat a little bit of that chalk.
Now, see, I am fine fading a chalky Willie Z and a chalky Minwoo. Lowry, I have a freaking soft spot in my heart for Shane Lowry. Rarely pays off, but if
he might break that heart, yeah.
If he's chalky, I still might, because it does feel pretty automatic. Like the ball striking is very good. The around the green is good enough that it's not going to keep him. It's going to keep him out of like miscut land or T45 land. And it feels like the worst he could do, even if he has a typical Shane Lowry poor putting week, is like a T30, considering how well he's hitting it right now. Yeah. And that floor feels really nice. The only way he wins or top fives is if he putts well, which is the one top 5 he has at Augusta. He gained 5.4 strokes putting. So it is possible for him. All right, so now that leads to the juicy part of the 8K range, which is our favorite pivots, because we both have pivots in this range. I wonder if they're the same.
Yeah. Okay.
Why don't we name our highest priced pivot on the count of 3?
Okay.
1, 2, 3.
Patrick Cantlay.
God. Oh!
Did you just throw up in your mouth?
I want to punch myself in the diamonds.
I mean, you can't. I mean, it's a good pivot play, DB. He's
It
playing
is.
well. He's playing well. He's got a ton of experience around this track here. He's got several top 15s and 20s and all that kind of stuff. I mean, I just think you feel really good if you get a lower owned Patrick Cantlay in your lineup. You're going to feel good. You're actually going to be, you're going to feel good, but you're going to feel gross at the same time. It's kind of like two things like that.
Yeah. I just noticed that, the thing that he's really sucked at here is putting at Augusta. It's really what's kept him out of the top 10. But when I looked at his recent putting numbers, he seems to be trending nicely when it comes. If you look back to the last 4 or 5 years at Augusta and look at his putting numbers leading up to Augusta, and then look at his putting numbers now leading up to Augusta, it does seem like he's found some sort of putting. Maybe I don't know if he has a lab putter like everybody else is going to, but it does feel like the putter is going better. And now the iron play is clicking like we're used to seeing. So it does feel like he could come up and get it. I wonder if a lot of other people will think the same thing.
Yeah. I'll see.
All right, let's name our next highest price potential pivot. Ready?
Okay. Yep.
1, 2, 3.
Russell
Cam
Henley.
Smith. Okay.
I don't know about Cam Smith. I may be out on Cam.
So we're skipping Terrell, who's not had his best year at Live and also typically does not play Augusta well outside of last year.
Yeah.
So I think that fade makes sense. Russell Henley, huh? Tell me about Russell Henley.
Well, I mean, we know he's playing well. He won a few weeks ago at the Arnold Palmer. He does have a pretty good history here going back to 2022 with a T30, a T4, tied for fourth in 2023, and then a T38. The ball striking is fantastic for him. He hits a ton of fairways, ton of greens. He's 23rd in the field in approach. Very good putter. At least going in this year, he's 8th in the field in strokes gained putting right now. In the BTN model overall, he's 14th. I just feel like he's a very good, if we're just going to talk like a good cash play, I think Russell Henley makes a lot of sense at 8,400. I don't think he necessarily wins, but I do think there's a lot of upside for him. I think he's very safe. And I don't think he's going to be chalky either. So I think Russell, the biggest thing with Russell is probably going to be, I know this course, is very long, and he's not the longest off the tee. He's not the worst, but he's kind of middle of the field, I would say. But I do think Russell can play this course well, and so I'm a fan of him at that 8,400 price.
Okay, I think a cash lineup is something good to think about. I don't hate it. Listen, Cam Smith for me is just purely if he truly turns out to be a pivot, because his record around here is tremendous. He loves Augusta National. We know he can't, he sprays it off the tee, which you can do here. You're going to have, it's the same reasons I hate Victor. I love Cam because he's still chipping and putting like a beast. If you look at his numbers on Live. Now his results at Live so far have not been good, but he's trending. That's what I'm trying to see is like, when these studs like Cam Smith, Brooks, when they start that Live season, I don't know that they really are. Yeah, I don't know. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Yeah. I don't know. Read between the lines. But as we approach Augusta for these guys that have not won the Masters before and would really love to win the Masters, you got to feel like they at some point on the calendar, they go, this is when I really need to start locking in. And so, Cam finishes 20th at Hong Kong 2 events ago, and then finishes, I think, 19th in Singapore. Okay. And then right now at Miami, he's having a good day. He's 1 under for round 3. He's T13. So if he maintains, he's going to be trending better his last 3 events. And then he comes to Augusta where he's got all this great mojo. It's just a pure leverage pivot play. I mean, I assume he's probably going to be less than 10% owned, right? I'd be shocked if he's right. Because
right. I think, yeah, I agree.
We already talked about, Willie Z, probably Min Woo are going to be both higher owned than him. I think Akshay might be higher owned than him. I would much rather have Cam Smith than Akshay.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but and I love the way Akshay's playing. I love how he's putting, but second time around Augusta compared to Cam, and this is just one of those weird tournaments and courses where course history just matters a ton. It matters more than it normally does. So,
yeah, that's an interesting
did
thing
I
too.
sell you a little bit on it?
You did, because also I have one other name that I think that I would go above Akshay as far as a pivot play, but I do like Akshay a lot. So, but I think if I'm looking at the two and I get a little bit lower owned Cam Smith over Akshay, I would definitely go Cam Smith over Akshay. But I do think Akshay is somebody that I'm eyeing.
So
I like the lefties out here.
you like Bobby Mack too.
I love Bobby Mack.
Me too.
Love Bobby Mack.
God, I
mean,
wonder if he's going to be more popular than we think then.
I think he is, and that's the thing is like I talked about this on the do's and don'ts. Like, I think he's going to be the one that a lot of touts end up talking about, and you see him on social media, and we think he's the sneaky play. But now I'm thinking, you know what? Maybe he's not, because it kind of, speaking of sneaky, it kind of snuck up on me how well he's playing. A T11 at the API, ninth at the Players. His last two starts here, a 12th and a 23rd. I don't know. He seems pretty good, but I don't know, David. He may be a little higher owned than we want him to be.
I'm not going to play a chalky Bobby Mack, but I definitely am interested.
Yeah.
Sub 10%, single digit Bobby Mack, I'm in.
Yeah.
All right. So the 8K is interesting. There's definitely some pivot opportunity here. And I think, it makes sense. You're going to have a lot of lineups start up top, and then you're going to be forced down in the 7K range. The 8K range gets skipped. It's a great way. Remember, we talked about that. You got to go back and watch the DFS show or the flashback and lessons learned, because we talked about the optimal lineup last year. We talked about the 3 Millie Maker winning lineups last year and broke those down. It's funny how few of the top 10 highest owned players end up paying off. And if you fade half of those, you got to find other places to go. And a lot of times it is this 8K range.
Yeah.
All right, golf addicts, we've partnered with our friends at DraftKings, and the battle for the jacket is heating up in Augusta. And there's no better place to sweat the action than DraftKings Daily Fantasy, the ultimate destination for fantasy golf fans. And for the year's first major, DraftKings is giving all customers a shot to play free for a $1 million top prize with your next $10 deposit. It's simple to play. Build your dream lineup while staying under the salary cap, then sit back and watch as your players rack up points. Every birdie, every bogey, every clutch putt, feel the intensity of every shot. Should you roster Rory? You banking on Scotty doing it again? Are there some live guys you like? I don't know. Maybe they need to be in your lineups. We shall see. Download the DraftKings app and use code JUNKIES to play free for a shot at the $1 million top prize with just a $10 deposit. That's code JUNKIES for all DraftKings customers. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY at 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. 18 plus in most eligible states, but age varies by jurisdiction. Eligibility restrictions apply. Void where prohibited. Minimum $10 deposit required. One single-use $10 ticket rewarded for Fantasy Golf Millionaire contest that expires on April 10th at 7 a.m. See terms at DraftKings.com/promotions.draftkings.com. See terms at DraftKings.com/promotions. All right, let's get into the sevens. I think one of the more popular players on the slate is right below Bobby, and it's Corey.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And for good reason. Again, the guy is playing fantastic golf right now. He's played Augusta very well. He feels very safe. He's currently T8 at Valero. He just feels extremely safe, like a lot like Shane, a lot like maybe Tommy Ladd. Going to be a lot of popular, it's going to be a popular name, but he feels very safe. The floor feels high with Corey Connors. And I love Corey Connors. And he may end up being, I think he is going to be chalk that I eat, because I really, really, really like him here. I tweeted out last week that when Taylor Moore withdrew from the Houston and I had 0.15 units left that I had used on him for my betting card, I said, I am taking those units and putting them on 80-1. And I know this is the DFS show. I'm putting them on the 80-1 Corey Connors. And now he's like 60. So Corey's going to be popular is what I'm saying. He's already steaming down in the outright market. That's an indicator of people loading up on him in DFS too. So he's just one you just need to decide what you're going to do, because he will be popular.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, to me, he also feels like a good like if you're doing pools or Calcuttas or things like
Yeah.
that, like he's one of those that I would want to target for sure. But I agree. I think he's going to be chalky, but I've got to have a piece of that in my lineups.
Let's just run through real quickly other names in here we think will be popular. I'll give you my thoughts and you tell me if I'm forgetting any. I only have really two more that I think will be, fairly popular. Sep makes a lot of sense. He's going to
Absolutely.
check a lot of boxes, similar to Coco, Corey Connors, just hitting it really well. Irons have been really well. Best finish at Augusta was last year, T16. Makes a lot of sense. Already won this year. And then I actually think I actually think that I could be wrong on this one. I think Captain Keegan.
Yes, that's what I was about to
You think
say.
so?
I think he's going to be have some charm. I mean, he's playing really well.
He is playing
And I
well.
think people are going to feel like he just feels like one of those. If you get Keegan at 7,000, a
Yeah.
lot of people are going to go there and say, "Oh yeah, he's going to make the cut. He's got upside. He's got all these things."
Yeah.
So I think he's going to be chalky for sure in the 7K range.
Any other names you think will be popular here?
I think potentially Jason Day.
I don't think so.
You don't think Jason Day's going to have some chalk?
I mean, I get the record here, but I don't think he's going to be one of these optimizer guys that they love. And the form has been a little back and forth. I mean, obviously played good at Bay Hill, but it's just been a little meh, kind of all over the place. So I just don't. I think a lot of the popular plays, especially in majors, end up being these optimizer studs.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, yeah. I think that's how it's going to shape up.
I agree. I don't see any other chalk in here.
Um, you know who's playing really well? Let's just get into it. And this is kind of jumping all over the place, but I could see this guy being borderline chalk. So he's either going to be borderline chalk or maybe he's just going to be a pivot because he's cheap. He's got plenty of laps around Augusta. I think he's got one top 10, but plenty of laps. Hadn't played it in a few years because he's been bouncing back from an injury. $7,100 Daniel Berger.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, 7,100 for how good he's been playing. Runner up at Phoenix, 12th at the Genesis, both 15th at Arnold Palmer, 20th at the Players. That's 4 signature big boy events, and a runner up, a 12th, a 15th, and a 20th.
Yeah, I could see there being a little bit of chalk there.
I like him a lot this
I
week.
I do too. I don't know that I don't see him getting anywhere above like 10% or anything. I think he's still single digits.
Yeah, I think so too. Do you like anyone between your boy Tony Finau, who's burned you a couple times? I would love to try to talk you off the ledge if you want to go back to that. Sahith, Wyndham Clark. Any of those three that you like?
You know, I don't really like either of them. I got to be honest, DB. I don't.
Okay.
I think I'm not gonna go to Finau. So you don't have to talk me off the ledge there.
Okay, good.
I'm not. Sahith has just been way too inconsistent for me, and Wyndham is the same. I mean, he feels now he is one of those like you're really gonna feel icky if you put Wyndham in your lineup. You're gonna
Yeah.
be really scared, really worried. You're gonna have some anxiety. You might have to take whatever the pill is that they give you for speethitis. I don't know, but I just feel like if I feel like I
Whatever
can't.
counteracts fentanyl or heroin or whatever it
Yeah,
is.
I don't know, but I would feel very nervous about Wyndham in my lineup. So I think all three of those really I just don't feel comfortable with. I'd rather
I think
play a sulky set, a sulky set. I'd rather play a sulky set, DV, a chalky set, or there's a couple guys down near the bottom that I would go to. So, and I'm still, like we said, I'm still going to be playing a chalky Connors.
Okay, then let me hit this next little range here. DJ, Tom Kim, Sam Burns, Matt Fitzpatrick, Patrick Reed, and Sungjae M. Kind of that 73 to 7,500, the middle of that 7K range. Let me just make this snappy for a few names. Sungjae, Fitzpatrick, Burns, and Tom Kim. I am completely out on all of them. Don't care how low owned they are. I'm out.
Me too.
DJ and Patrick Reed. Patrick Reed, I think I'm out on. I think.
I don't think I am. I don't think I am. He's, Yeah, he was leading it Doral, I guess, the first day, and then he didn't have
Shot
played.
500 day one. Currently, him and DJ are T6. They sit at even par for the tournament, 5 shots off the lead.
I don't think I'm out on Reed. I'm probably out on DJ though. So
And
I'll
I
let you.
think dude, I had so much DJ last year when he missed the cut. He was
Oh,
low owned.
painful.
And I mean, up until last week, I would have been like, absolutely not. But somebody asked him at a press conference this week how fired up he was for Augusta and if his game was ready. He's like, yeah, I'm feeling good. I'm peaking. Like everything feels good. And then he comes out and has a good week this week. And it's similar to Cam Smith. If you look at his live season, he starts off T44, T31. That's like textbook DJ.
Yeah.
He woke up the night
I
before.
saw an article that he was retiring.
Yeah. I mean, he woke up the night before the first event in Riyadh or whatever it's called. And he was just like, oh crap, I got to play golf. Okay, T44. And then T31, T54, then a T5 last week or last outing at Sentosa. And now we're looking at a T6. He's currently tied. So like it's a little like Cam Smith. Is he kind of saying, okay, I'm ready to like do something again? Now he's already got the green jacket. Don't know how much he cares about winning another one. I don't know. But if he is low owned, I wouldn't mind being a little overweight. Not a lot, but just a teeny little bit because he did burn me last year. But 7,500, just God dang it. Why do I have a soft spot for him? He doesn't care. He doesn't care.
He does care about this one, I think. So
yeah. All right, lower 7K. We've already talked about Berger. Anybody interest you out of Rose, Scott, some of the older guys, Rosie, Scott, Garcia, McNeely, Stinky Cam Young, Davis Thompson?
I mean, I think, no Cam Young for me, even though, hey, congrats, Cam, on a good finish. He's got 2 in a row, 2 top 10s in a row out here, but I don't think I would go there. We already mentioned Keegan. I think another guy that kind of feels a little gross is Justin Rose, but I just could see him all of a sudden, he plays extremely well here. He's had some a near miss a few years ago that felt like, well, maybe it's been, I don't know when that was, but Justin Rose just feels like a guy that I know is going to be low owned, that does have some upside, played well at the Arnold Palmer. It has a really, good history here, other than it has been a little bit, hit or miss the last several years. But I think Rose is one that I'm going to look at, DB. Feels gross. I know.
Yeah, I mean, I can see him making the cut. I could see him being the first round leader and then finishing 40th.
I know.
I might be a little more interested in Sergio. Like he's playing well this year. He's already got a win. He won in Hong Kong, T6, the first event of the year. And he's currently, I mean, he could theoretically win Doral. He's 3 under, 2 shots off the lead right now. So he's playing, I mean, he's playing well right now. So I don't know. Sergio's somewhat intriguing to me. Mainly for me down here in this range, it's Sergio, it's Keegan, it's Berger.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's get to the 6K range and we'll button this bad boy up. Well, who are the 6K base, the 6K favorites? I got a handful in here that are interesting. We'll just start at the top, I guess. Højgaard of the Nikolai variety, I am very interested in. I mean, he was the value of 2024. He was in the 6K range. He finished T16. And he lost strokes on approach. It still finished T16. Like he's a little Minwoo-esque in that he is going to gain strokes off the tee because he hits it so far. His irons are kind of hit or miss, but he's checking those boxes overall lately, despite the 3 missed cuts in a row. But I don't mind Nikolai. Well, none of these guys I'm so in love with that I would eat the chalk on, but Nikolai is interesting to me. I'll give you 2 and then I'll let you talk on 2. Spawn is kind of oddly interesting. Like, I think he's improved his ball speed a touch. He's kind of top half in ball speed in this field, around average. The irons have been tremendous. And he came out here and finished T23 last year, 6,800. He's obviously been playing well. 2 runner-ups in his last 4 starts. The freaking Players and the Cognizant. Now, I know different golf courses, but still very interesting. I mean, and he's 10th in this field in that key approach bucket that we talked about at the top. So, I mean, that's pretty impressive for JJ. So, Nikolai and JJ are 2 guys I'm going to have my eye on up top.
Okay. I cannot believe you're skipping over my boy DB, my boy Thomas Dietrich.
Nah.
Come on, he absolutely moves it off the tee. Because I mean, look, if Nikolai's first year last year, he's kind of your value guy at T16. I think Dietrich could be that this year. This is his first time playing here. I feel like you haven't. Now he's played okay in the last couple events with the T22 at Valspar. It was 47th in Houston. Missed the cut though at the Players in the API, but we won earlier this year at the Waste Management. I think Dietrich could have a lot of value on the upside for Dietrich, even though it's his first time out here. So he's one that I do like also. And then now I think we could both talk about Mickelson for a minute, but I would say right next to Mickelson, another guy that's playing for the first time here, Taylor Pendrith. I think he is another good first timer at 6,700. A guy that can, absolutely move it off the tee. He's 23rd.
And typically putts really well too.
Yeah, and he's 23rd in the BTN model. Was
like
fifth at Houston. I love Pendrith this
He's
week.
4th in my model.
Yeah, so he makes a lot of sense. So I think that's a very good value play down there at 6,700. And then there's Mickelson is right there that I think we should talk about for a second, because he has shown the last couple weeks or last couple live tournaments that the games might be coming around, and we see Mickelson play well here. So
3rd place finish 2 events ago in Hong Kong, currently even par at Doral, T7, 5 shots off the lead. So playing all right at Doral. I don't hate it. I think I'd probably rather have I don't know. I think I'd probably rather have somebody else, but I don't hate it. If somebody was like, hey, I want to play Phil, I'd be like, all right, cool, play. I'm not going to talk you out of it.
Yeah. I only have 2 more, by the way, after this. So.
Total in the 6K range?
I have 2 more.
That's a lot of guys. Well, I like Pendrith, as you mentioned. I think he could be really interesting. Good to see him get the putter back together after the really odd start, because historically a really good putter. Started 2025 putting terribly and then figured it out. But can I say this? This may be hater DB coming out. I like that Michael Kim is very transparent on X. I like it. I like his content. I appreciate it when he does his like debriefs on the golf courses and all that stuff. But I think he's a little thirsty for my liking overall. And I also like and I respect the fact that he figured out, hey, I suck. And if I don't gain some distance and some speed, I'm not going to be able to keep up. And he has. And it's proven to be a smart decision for him.
Yeah.
Doesn't always work out for people that do that, and it has for him. So I respect the crap out of him for that. I get a little tired of his act though. And he's at 6,700. He's played Augusta once. I've already seen him tweeting about it. He's going to take a picture every time he stops and goes to the bathroom in the airport on the way to Augusta. He's so excited. I almost wonder if it's going to be too much for him. If his little brain is going to spaz out and short circuit. He's done the Pat Mayo show, which is great. Like, great for him to do that. I love the fact that these guys embrace the gambling community. So, but he's not going to be overlooked. He's not. People are going to pay attention to him. And I'm sorry, but if I don't care if he's 7% or 8%, and Taylor Pendrith and Nikolai Højgaard and some of these other names in here are half of that. I'm not playing Michael Kent. Probably not playing him at all.
Yeah, I'm with you there for sure.
And I could see him just completely flaming out.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm wrong. Laurie Cantor's obviously been playing well on the global stage, but I don't know. I'm not like wild about him. All right, who are your other 2 plays? Because I got a lot of names in here I want to talk about. But
2 guys in here that I love. Lucas Glover is one. At 6,600, he's been playing fantastic, an excellent ball striker. He's 22nd in the BTN model. I love that $6,600 price for him. He's you look at him in this range, he is actually there is only a couple other guys who are more of a favorite, I guess, to finish in the top 10 when you look at the odds too. So Lucas Glover, I like a lot. And then I like Harris English, DV. He's another guy that shows up well in the BTN model at 35th. He's kind of a wild ride too. He could be a little bit of a hit or miss, but he's played well here. You look at his last 3 starts, T21, T43, T22 last year. His form is good. You know, he won earlier this year. He has a T30 at the Players, T18 at Houston. So I think Harris English and Lucas Glover, Harris is 6,500. Very good plays down here in that range.
Don't mind the Glover play. I'm out on Harris English. I thought you were going to say Denny. I mean, as much as you've been loving.
Yeah, I mean, I do like Denny. But you know, we can't talk every name.
I know, but there's some good. No, I mean, there's some names down here. I mean, Denny is playing well in Valero again. T7 coming off a T14. He's played really well this year. I like Denny a lot. I think he could be one of the chalkier names in the 6K range. So be prepared for that. But I think Denny's definitely in play, and I'm usually not a Denny dude. So I'm in on that. You know, Hoagie is interesting just because of the iron play. Like, and he's playing well right now in Texas. He doesn't have the best record at Augusta, but 6,400. You know, it just feels like a guy who is the floor's high in terms of a made cut, and the ceiling might be T20 for Hoagie. I could see it.
Yeah.
So he's enticing to me. But honestly, there's 2 names, and I'll wrap this up at 6,300. Jaeger and Kevin Yu. Don't forget how much further Jaeger is hitting it now than he has in the last year or 2. He's gained some distance for sure. It helped him win. He's been in contention on at other times for a second win on tour. T11 at Houston, T20 at the Players, 6 in Mexico. Kind of hit or miss sometimes with the irons. But the ball speed, he's 9th in this field in ball speed over the last 30 rounds. Hits it high, 8th in this field in Apex. I think that's going to suit him well. 6,300 for that guy is very enticing. And then Kevin Yu feels like potentially a Højgaard situation. Has never played, but bombs it. 14th in ball speed. 9th in strokes gained off the tee last 30 rounds in this field. 30th in overall last 30 approach play. So the approach numbers, the ball striking is very good. He's a terrible putter. And I'm sure Augusta National's greens are going to give him problems. I'm not saying he's going to top 10, but I think he could top 20, top 25 for sure at 6,300. And that's probably as low as I'm willing to go on anybody are those 2 names.
I like them too. I think those are good ones. And again, this allows you looking at all of these great plays in the 6K range to really come up with some good lineups that have either a Scotty in there or a Rory in there, or like you said, if you comboed Rory and Morikawa.
Good stuff, Pat. Good DFS breakdown. Don't forget to check out all the links in the description. Everything we talked about, all the goodies are in there. So our Ryder Cup trip is in there. The DraftKings offer for both new customers and current customers is below in the description. All the good stuff is there. Check out the other shows and the other content we got going on this week and get in the Discord. We'll have our chat. We'll have our emails going out this week as well. Thanks to our friends at Bet the Number for providing the data for us. Check that out if you'd like to dig in on that yourself. And man, let's have a great 2025 Masters. I'm pumped, and may your screens be green. See ya. Out. Tour Junkies featuring David Barnett is not an affiliate of CWM LLC. Opinions expressed by the host or guests do not reflect those of CWM LLC. CWM LLC does not endorse gambling or the entities promoted by the Tour Junkies podcast. David is a non-registered representative of CWM LLC, an SEC registered investment advisor.